Recently I reviewed a ROM hack called Metal Sonic Hyperdrive, which I said was probably the most impressive ROM hack of Sonic 1 I'd ever seen, on par with the quality of the likes of Sonic the Hedgehog Megamix, a game that got ported to the Sega CD. But what I did not realize at the time was that Metal Sonic Hyperdrive had a sequel, which fittingly enough is a ROM hack of Sonic the Hedgehog 2. But funnily enough, it's not really a sequel per se, as a prequel, because in this one you aren't fighting for Tails, you are the original OG Metal Sonic, and Dr. Robotnik, being the horrible Eggman that he is, has gone and made a super fleet of super robots to go track down the Chaos Emeralds. But that makes Metal Sonic feel jealous, and he wants to prove to Dr. Robotnik that he is the only robot he needs to do his bidding. Thus you set out as Metal Sonic to destroy Robotnik's creations, grab all the Chaos Emeralds, and potentially even turn on your creator? Well, we're all going to go into that in today's review. Welcome to Stuff We Play, home of everything weird and retro and ROM hacks, and yeah, you know the drill. If that sounds cool to you, why not subscribe? And Metal Sonic Rebooted. I already pretty much went over the story in the intro bit. It's a 16-bit platform, there's not much story here. But you are playing as Metal Sonic, and he plays quite a bit differently than Hyperdrive. As is the original Metal Sonic, you play much more similarly to Sonic the Hedgehog. Mainly you can spin dash and peel out like in Sonic CD, but there's also a ring mechanic here. Rings carry over between each act of each zone, and by pressing up in the action button, you can actually burst forward. Furthermore, by holding down after a jump, you can quickly rocket towards the ground. This is extremely satisfying, and it's very rare that you won't have enough rings to pull off this action, since if you get hit by an enemy, instead of losing all your rings, which you still do if you're playing on hard mode, you'll only lose 15 rings. The only things that seem to be a little unwieldy here are the special stages, which, yes, are exactly the same as in Sonic 2, except they have level designs that make them even harder. I didn't like them in Sonic 2, and I really don't like these. Yes, if you get all 7 emeralds, you can turn into Hyper Metal Sonic. That's what I'm going to call him. And it's pretty much just Metal Sonic himself, except faster, invincible, and can jump higher. But whoa, what's the actual level designs like? Well, admittedly, I think Metal Sonic Hyperdrive had a bit better level design. Don't get me wrong, this level design is fantastic in a lot of places, and some stages, such as Twinkle Slider, are absolutely fast and frantic in all the best possible ways. However, some, like Forbidden Ruins, seem to just have sections that awkwardly stop and that force you to platform, kind of like in a lot of sections of Sonic 1. I don't recall there being as many sections like this in Metal Sonic Hyperdrive, but there's certainly a few here. Not to say the level design is bad, in fact, on the whole, I think it's absolutely excellent. It's very clear that Lone Devil, who made this ROM hack, has an absolute love and adoration for the series and knows how Sonic levels design should work inside and out, but still doesn't stop this ROM hack from having a few occasions where the game just kind of awkwardly comes to a halt. Graphically though, this is somehow even more stunning than Metal Sonic Hyperdrive. The sprites are bigger and badder, and also whenever you jump into an enemy, whether it be an Egg Robo, who looks fantastic here, or any of these other robots, makes this very satisfying explosion sound. It feels like there's a crunch when you connect because of the actual explosion effect. What also looks really neat here are the bosses. The bosses here are all really just remixes of Sonic 2, and they all look pretty different, save for the first boss of the game, which is Silver Sonic, who, especially as you have rings here, is an absolute joke. Also, what the hell is this with the final boss? Dr. Robotnik getting into a literal mech suit? What is that, a Megazord? But reeling back a bit and continuing with the presentation, these fantastic graphics are accompanied by a wonderful soundtrack. Now, like before, most of the music seems to be lifted from other games, so I swear, like in Hyperdrive, some of it seems to be a bit remixed. But the soundtrack here is still phenomenal. In fact, I like it even more than Metal Sonic Hyperdrive. This is fantastic stuff here. I absolutely adore the soundtrack here, and it really gets you pumped up to play through this great ROM hack. You play through the game, you beat Robotnik, and you reach the credits. There isn't really a secret menu per se this time. I mean, of course, if you access the options menu, you can do things such as access a sound test and change the difficulty, but there's only one playable character here, and Lone Devil added him as an April Fool's joke. By pressing up, down, left, right, and A at the title screen, you can play as Knuckles. Unlike Sonic, he doesn't chuckle, but seriously, it's Knuckles. He plays exactly as he did in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, except he can do that really cool down dash ability that Metal can by pressing down while in the middle of a jump. And he's the only other playable character, with one exception. If you've ever played the game Knuckles Chaotix, then you'll remember a character named Bomb, who's a joke character, and he's here. Yes, you can get Bomb to stages, and he will attach to you like in Knuckles Chaotix, and he's annoying. I hate getting him, but I think that's the point. But regardless, on the whole, Metal Sonic Rebooted is a phenomenal ROM hack and probably my favorite ROM hack of Sonic 2 that I've ever played. I think this is great, and as it's a free to download ROM hack for your emulator / EverDrive of choice, I definitely highly recommend it. But you know what, I may be beginning to ramble on just a bit. Have you played Metal Sonic Rebooted or Metal Sonic Hyperdrive? Let me know down in the comment section below, and while we're at it, why don't you let me know any other ROM hacks or fan games or bootlegs I should look at in the future, and subscribe to Stuff We Play for more great content like this. And if you feel so inclined, why not back us on Patreon, because every dollar earned from Patreon does go back into the channel itself. So with that, thank you very much for watching, stay classy, and I'll see you next time.